We might be live right now. I'm just waiting for the number to go up. There she is. If we were live for about 15 seconds and I just stared at you, I apologize. I just wanted to make sure we were live before I started to do my spiel. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold. You are watching the Wilbur and Gold Show. Boom, 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 boom. I'm all fired up on a Thursday. It's raining outside, but it is nice and cozy in this Baby Yoda hoodie. And we're working with some new coffee I'm trying, brewed it especially for you guys to share with you for the show. It's a blueberry. I got it from Target. I forget what brand it is. It's a brand that I hadn't heard of before, but it's blueberry and coffee. Blueberry and honey. Blueberry and honey coffee. And it's a lighter roast. I usually don't go for a light roast. I like at least a medium. I like a stronger coffee flavor, but this is actually really good. What I've been doing is I just have the coffee, put a little bit of honey in there, a touch of my creamer, which right now it's a cinnamon toast crunch creamer, which that cinnamon kicks in there and goes great with this combo. So it is delicious, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it with you guys here today. So to you, little sippy sip. So it's been a few weeks. Is your bracket as much of a dumpster fire as mine is? The madness has officially begun. I will say this. I don't think anybody's bracket is doing particularly well this year. I will say that this is a COVID tournament through and through. And what I mean is just between the fact that there's no Duke in the NCAA tournament this year, there's no Kentucky in the NCAA tournament this year. I don't remember if Michigan State made it in the first four matchup or they didn't make it at all. But regardless, I mean, the powerhouses, Carolina had kind of an up and down year, had a first round exit. So it was kind of an interesting year nonetheless for the ACC anyway, which, if you know me at all, obviously I'm a Carolina fan and I cover the ACC. So I'm always, right now we got Syracuse, we're heading into the Sweet 16 tomorrow. We've got Syracuse and Florida State holding it down for the ACC. But, and I have a prediction on that, and I guess I'll give it to you guys just because I talked about it on my ACC show earlier today, is that if Florida State, Florida State and Syracuse both have very difficult first games of the coming weekend in the Sweet 16. Florida State plays number 1 Michigan. That's going to be a tough one. And then Syracuse plays number 2 Houston. My prediction is if slurring my words. If Florida State can beat Michigan and if Syracuse can beat Houston, those two teams will go to the Final Four, because if Florida State beats Michigan, they'll either play UCLA or Alabama. I think Alabama's going to win that game. Alabama's ranked number 2, but they're very overrated. They haven't played a very high caliber of teams this year. And even when they have, it's been either they lost or it was close. And so I think they're not as battle tested as FSU is. And I think they're overrated. So I think FSU would take care of Alabama easily. And then Syracuse, if they were to beat Houston, I think they would either beat Loyola Chicago or Oregon State, one or the other, which would put them in the Final Four. So that's my prediction on that. If you're not an ACC fan, you can give a shit less, but I just thought I'd put it out there. So what else? So here's what I want to do. I had a comment on one of my Star Wars TikToks from actually a couple, maybe even a month back, but I was just getting around to responding to some of the older comments that I hadn't gotten to. I've been trying to catch up on that and get them all in. I'm trying to respond to every single one. And somebody asked me, which ironically enough, I've been doing Star Wars content very heavy. I mean, 95% of the content I do on TikTok is Star Wars. I've been doing that for, I guess, a little over a year now. And ironically enough, I get asked a good amount of questions because I put out regular content. People seem to like it in the Star Wars community. And I get asked a lot of questions or suggestions for things. And ironically enough, maybe one other time, but I don't think so. So I've never had someone ask me to rank, for me personally, the Star Wars films. So that is what I'm going to do for you right here, right now, because I commented back to that dude a little while ago, and I told him I was going to respond to him in a video tonight. So I'm going to get that here on the show now for you guys, and then I'm going to clip that and put it on TikTok a little bit later or tomorrow. My rankings of the Star Wars films. This is not just restricted to the Star Wars saga or the Skywalker saga. So this goes Star Wars 1 through 9, and it also includes Rogue One and Solo. Does not include the Clone Wars movie because I haven't watched it. So this is all movies from the Star Wars universe. Here we go. And by the way, it's like this is easy and kind of difficult for me at the same time because, like, I'm having to rank. I mean, this is 11 movies. We're going 11 deep here. So that means I have to have an 11th favorite, a 10th favorite, a 9th. And even though I'm going to have my rankings for that, keep in mind, this is extremely difficult for me. Like, I know what my clear-cut, and I'm going to give that to you last. I know what my clear-cut favorite is for my favorite Star Wars movie. That's hands down easy favorite, has been since, well, I'm not going to tell you because then I'll just give it away. But I've known what my favorite Star Wars movie is for a long time now. That's not even difficult. What gets difficult for me is having to rank the ones kind of last and second and third to last, because it's like, it's not that I didn't like them. It's just they're not quite my favorite. So I'm not a Star Wars movie hater. I'm not The Last Jedi episode 8 hater. So I wanted to clear that up for you. I'm not on that bandwagon. I love all of the Star Wars movies. Just because I maybe didn't get what I particularly wanted in a certain movie or two, I still appreciate the story for what it was, because in my eyes, it's still a part of the Star Wars saga. It's still a Star Wars movie. It's still Star Wars content. And usually, and I've talked about this before, I'm kind of the same way with season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's like, even though certain things take place that I'm like, I kind of wish it would have went a different way, it's like I can still appreciate the story for what it was. And I can, if I can wrap my head around, all right, I can kind of understand why, Daenerys Targaryen loses her shit, because she loses everybody around her. Don't get me on my Game of Thrones shit right now. But I'm able to kind of wrap my head around, all right, I can understand why that happened and that person kind of turned out that way. Like I'm kind of able to do that better than most. I feel like I'm like that with everything. I don't know. I'm an empathetic human being, so I tend to have a level of empathy that, I don't know. So the Star Wars movies ranked. Here we go. I'm going to have to say my 11th least favorite is going to have to be Solo. And that's difficult. And again, the hardest decisions for me to make on this list is going to be my last couple, because it's like, I still like them a lot, but it's just like, you got to have an 11th, a 10th, you got to rank them. So I'm going to say Solo, which is kind of weird to say, because actually over the last several months, so I do this weird thing, like, I watch stuff over and over and over. So like, I watch Star Wars all the time. Like, I don't binge new shows. Like, I literally I'm binging Star Wars. I binge Game of Thrones backwards and forwards. Sometimes I'll watch them 1 through 9, then I'll go 9 to 1. Then the year they were made. Like, I'm weird. Like I that's why I'm obsessed with Star Wars. I'm obsessed to a lesser degree, but still obsessed with Game of Thrones. Like, and I guess that's why I've become knowledgeable about such things, just because I watch it over and over and over. So it's kind of fun for me. But I'm going to have to say 11 is Solo. Han Solo is probably my favorite character is Vader, Anakin, hands down. Always has been, always will be. I would have to say I've kind of got a couple characters that are in the running for like my second, third favorite characters. General Grievous has snuck up there. Jango Fett's in the combination. But Luke Skywalker, obviously. I like Yoda. Mace Windu I like. But I got to say, like, I love Han Solo. And I think I love Han Solo because, like, I really click with his personality. Like, I like his kind of charisma and swagger that he has. Kind of the James Bond of the Star Wars universe, I think you could say. Big into James Bond movies. I've been binging those actually this weekend. So yeah, I would say it's a difficult thing for me to say that Solo is probably my least favorite of all the movies. Maybe that, and that's another thing. Although my number one favorite Star Wars movie is not going to move, it's not going to change. It just isn't. I feel like at different periods of time, the bottom half could rejigger around, but this very minute, this is what I'm feeling. So I would say Solo is my least. So that's going to be number 11 here. I'm writing them down so I don't forget any. So Solo's number 11. I really like the movie. I love Han Solo. He's one of my favorite characters. I don't know. It didn't really, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this. It just, I don't know. Like it didn't click with me as well as like and I think it might be because it didn't have any like Jedi and Sith stuff in it. Like I really enjoyed the story of Solo, and I actually started binging Solo several different times a couple of months ago. I really like the whole bounty hunter and smuggling. I really like the whole business, kind of underworld business stuff of Star Wars, especially with the Mandalorian and things like that. So, you know what? I'm gonna change live on air. Something didn't fit. I think you guys could tell something just didn't feel right for me for putting Solo last. I'm not gonna put Solo last because I just like his character too much. I can't do it. So I'm gonna be cliche. And this is kind of what was going around in my head here. And over these last 30 seconds in my head, I've been trying to figure out, all right, is this really what you want to do for the last? I'm going to be cliche here. But number 11 on my list, my least favorite Star Wars movie, is going to have to probably be The Last Jedi, Episode 8. It's very cliche. It's not that I don't like Last Jedi. It's just that I didn't, I didn't care for how Luke's character was in that movie, as did most of us. I still appreciated the story for what it was, but I don't hate the movie by any means. I don't hate any Star Wars movie. But I would just say if I had to have a least favorite in the saga, in Star Wars movies, it's going to have to be The Last Jedi. So, let's go. I'm gonna put Solo 10. I'm gonna put Solo 10. I think that was the debate I was having. Was do I put Solo or The Last Jedi as my least favorite? I'm gonna put Last Jedi as number 11, and I'm gonna put Solo at number 10 just because Solo. I love Han Solo. I liked the story, but it didn't have any like Jedi action or Sith until the Darth Maul cameo at the end, which was awesome. I would love to see if maybe we get a Solo sequel or a spinoff show that kind of, meet that whole Meet Me on Dathomir plot line. I'm kind of hoping we get to maybe see that. But I'd probably put Solo 10. I enjoyed it, but it's not up there with the rest for me. So that's going to be number 10. I'm sorry I'm kind of dragging this out. I'm kind of debating live on here, which is fun about this. That's how I like to do things. Authentic, real, the truth. That's how I like to do it. So number 9. Number 9, I'm going to go The Rise of Skywalker. All right, I'm just going to start writing the movie number, not the whole title. So yeah, number 9 on my list is Rise of Skywalker. I felt like I liked the Rise of, I guess similar to Last Jedi and Solo. I liked Rise of Skywalker more than most people did. And again, keep in mind that even though, again, this is going least to favorite, there's so, my number 1 movie is kind of separated, but the rest of them, they're so close as far as which ones I like best, but you got to rank them. So Rise of Skywalker is number 9 for me. I liked it more than most people did. I loved the return of Palpatine. I thought that was super cool, super badass how that worked out. A lot of people didn't like it. I don't really give a shit. I liked watching the evolution of Kylo Ren, going back to Ben Solo. I didn't have a problem with Rey saying, I'm Rey Skywalker at the end, like a lot of people did, like, because, I mean, technically she did get trained, and I guess to a degree, for as much as she did while they were still alive, she was brought up in the ways of the Jedi by Luke and then Leia. So I can understand that. However, I would have rather she just owned it and said, I'm Rey Palpatine. Because she is. Like, you know, like, I kind of, just because I would have rather her owned that and said, you know what? I'm going to own it. I'm Rey Palpatine, and I'm turning this shit around, you know? I'm not the Emperor. I'm not that. I'm this. I'm the opposite of what he was, and I'm going to right the wrong here. I kind of wish he would have owned it that way. So that part, I was like, eh. And then I would say I'll be honest with you, two things. My least favorite things about this movie. One is how Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, died at the end for no apparent reason. Now, while I know what it is, he force-healed Rey, and I assume maybe his life went into hers. I don't know. I hated to see him die so easily, right when I was like, okay, he's going to make a switch here, and he's going to right the wrong. And I just hated how we never get to see that play out. Like, I hated that we never got to see maybe those two get together, team up. Oh, they did team up, but then he died. It's just, I kind of hated how we just withered away like that. And then the other thing, which is not something I didn't like because we got something, it's just, no, we didn't get specifically what I was hoping for, which was the Be With Me scene where Rey was technically down and out, about dead, and then all of the spirits of the Jedi, you hear all their voices. You hear Anakin, Hayden Christensen as Anakin. You hear Obi-Wan Kenobi. You hear Yoda, Ahsoka, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, all the others. It's what we have been wanting for the whole trilogy, quite frankly. We heard their voices, you know, the actors that played them in the prequels and the Clone Wars for Ahsoka. But I wanted to see them. Like, I wanted to see all of the Force ghosts, like, fucking just lined up behind her, just like some we in this type shit. Just getting ready to go to Pound Town on Palpatine. Like, I was really hoping to get that visual. I really wanted it, which, again, you know, I'm excited regardless because we are getting Hayden Christensen again as in the Vader, in the Kenobi show as Vader/Anakin. So we're going to see that, but I kind of wanted to see Anakin as a Force ghost and all the Jedi's Force ghosts. But we did hear their voices, so that was the only other thing. So, number 8. Force Awakens. I'm gonna go Force Awakens for this one. Number 8. I would say of all the sequels, Force Awakens was my favorite. To me, that's an emotional decision. And what I mean by that is the reason I put that as my favorite of all the sequels is because of the emotions that I felt the first couple times I got to watch that movie, you know, from the Millennium Falcon, the first scene, and then the music, you know, with it. Seeing Han Solo and Chewie come into the Falcon for the first time. What else? Seeing Finn, that scene where Finn ignited the lightsaber for the first time of the entire sequel trilogy. It was the first time in, I guess, about a decade, because Revenge of the Sith was in 2005. Force Awakens was in 2014. So it was the first time in about a decade that we had seen heard a lightsaber ignition on screen. And so that was a cool thing to see. It was something I was really anticipating because, again, it had been a decade since we'd actually gotten a Star Wars movie. So just all those different emotions that I got, seeing Star Wars again for the first time. Plus, I just thought the story was very good for The Force Awakens. So that, for me, was my favorite of the sequels, and it is number 8 on my list of the 11 Star Wars movies. So, number 7. I am going to go A New Hope, Episode 4. Of the original trilogy and, quite frankly, the original 6, I would say that A New Hope, clearly since it's number 7 on my list, A New Hope was always kind of down at the bottom of my list. It wasn't that I didn't. Again, this is a very close list. It's not vastly separated, but I will say A New Hope just never, I actually kind of weirdly appreciate it more now than I did as a kid. As a kid, I was just more about the visuals and the lightsaber duels, which we all know that the lightsaber duel in A New Hope was garbage. But, I mean, I like the story more now than I did. But, between the lightsaber duel being kind of and, I don't know. A New Hope just never really got my gears going like the other Star Wars movies did. It's not that I don't like it. It's just it was never one of my top ones. So, number 6, and I'm probably going to wrap up this episode after I get done with this because this is taking me so long. Number 6. This is interesting. I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back. I think. Actually, let me ponder on that for another second. It's such a tough one. I'm going to go Sorry, I didn't just randomly stare at the camera. I got an update. God, this is a tough decision. Like, I know what my top 3 are, but these last couple, so I'm having trouble deciding between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one, because they were both kind of close. I'm going to go Phantom Menace. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. You thought I was going to go Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. Number 6. Number 6, I'm going to go Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace was kind of right there with The New Hope for me, as I would say, and ironically enough, it's the first movie in each of the trilogies, so I guess it makes sense. Kind of how A New Hope was, I guess, the lesser for me in the original trilogy. Phantom Menace was that for me in the prequel trilogy. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I feel like that's the theme of this list. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just when you have to rank things. Obviously, the duel, Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan was an all-time moment in Star Wars, but unfortunately, one lightsaber duel can't hold up an entire movie in a ranking. So, and then the pod race, obviously we got that and got a lot of video games from that too. I didn't even start playing that game again. But I would just say it's very, and I understand it. Anakin was a kid, so it makes sense, the vibe. And I'm not a Jar Jar hater, by the way. I love Jar Jar. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you people that hate Jar Jar. I really don't. But I don't know, but it took a long time to kind of get going for me. It kind of had a lot of family movie vibe to it, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just for a Star Wars vibe. Like, I'm ready for my space battles. I'm ready for my lightsaber duels. I'm ready for my, chopping up the battle droid scenes. Like, and it just felt like it took a long time. The Tatooine, which I get it. Again, you had just met Anakin and all that had to happen. I think that period on Tatooine where, they're getting the parts for the ship and the pod race, which obviously the pod race is all time, but just that whole Tatooine stretch, it took a little time to get going. And so I would say Phantom Menace is number 6 on this list. So now we come to number 5, and I'm going to go Rogue One. I'm going to go Rogue One here. I loved Rogue One. The visuals of that movie were so good. The Vader scenes, even though Vader, I think he might have been in 5 minutes of that movie, tops. The Vader scenes, even though they were minimal, man, were they impactful. I mean, man, obviously, they packed a punch, especially the one at the end, obviously. So the Vader scenes, the Governor Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, the scenes he was in, those were some of my favorite scenes. All the Empire scenes where, it was the first time since, I guess, the 70s and 80s in the original trilogy that we saw, kind of the CGI versions and the new movie tech versions of the original trilogy. So we got to see the CGI of Grand Moff Tarkin, Vader for the first time in 30 years on screen, and all this stuff. It was just so cool. TIE fighters, X-Wings. We got to see a modern version of the original trilogy, which I thought was really cool. So loved it. Really loved the Tarkin scenes. Again, like the Vader and the Tarkin scenes were probably the highlights for me. And then obviously going back to Mustafar, Vader's castle, and again, the hallway scene, duh. And just how it literally connects right into episode 4. To me, that's really cool how they did that. So next, we are down to our last 4. And so I'm going to go number 4 on this list. I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back. I was struggling between Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Which one did I like better? And just to judge this, I'm just going to go off of the one I liked better as a kid, which was Return of the Jedi. I watched it more as a kid. So, yeah, I would say Empire Strikes Back is number 4 for me on this list. It was the movie it was the last movie that I had not seen as a kid in the first 6. Like, growing up as a kid, I didn't own the movies, and so we didn't rent them. I would check them out at our local library. They'd have movies, and so whenever they would have a Star Wars movie, I watched them like out of order. I think the first Star Wars movie I ever saw was, I want to say Attack of the Clones was when I really first started getting into watching them. Maybe. It was either Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones, one of the two. But I think I watched Empire Strikes Back for the first time, actually 3 houses just up the street from where I sit right now at one of my neighbor's houses. And we were trying to decide on a Star Wars movie to watch. And he was like, "You want to watch Empire Strikes Back?" I'm like, "Yes!" Because I'd literally been looking at all the picture books, but I'd never gotten to see the actual movie. So that was the last one that I ever got to watch, or the last one that I watched for the first time in the first 6 of the saga. So that's kind of cool. So now, final 3. And I'm going to say this. My top 2, we'll get to it. Number 3 is Return of the Jedi for me. Again, I watched it most. It was the movie in the original trilogy that I watched and was gravitated towards the most as a kid. I don't know why. I always liked Luke's green saber. I thought that was one of the coolest lightsabers that I had seen. Just how the hilt was designed, the green saber. I liked green as a kid. I'm more of a blue guy now. But, yeah, Return of the Jedi was one of my favorites. Obviously I love seeing Palpatine in that one. Is really the only one in the original trilogy where we got to see Palpatine other than the hologram in Empire Strikes Back. And then obviously the duel between Vader and Luke at the end. I always enjoyed that. Always enjoyed, especially the remastered one where you get to see Hayden Christensen's Anakin as a Force ghost at the end. I loved that scene. So you know, but the end of Return of the Jedi was kind of a beautiful way to end it for me. So yeah, number 3 is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Now we get to my final two, my two favorite Star Wars movies. And I'm going to just say it. I think number 2 is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but it's my truth. It's my second favorite, and it is Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I watched the crap out of Attack of the Clones as a kid. I believe it was the first Star Wars movie that I ever caught on TV. You know, I had seen it was going to be on, and I believe I recorded like the first quarter of the movie, and I always remember it stopped at the Camino scene where it stopped right after Obi-Wan overlooks the entire like clone battalion, clone army, and then it switches over back to Anakin and Padme at the waterfall scene where they're talking, having a little picnic, and then it cuts and goes to like a business show that my dad taped over it. So that was my first experience watching a Star Wars movie. The Battle of Geonosis, the arena scene where Mace Windu comes in like a badass. All the Jedi show up like badasses. Yoda comes down and saves the day like a badass. That whole scene, it just gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. I love that scene. Like, I love the specific scene where the Jedi charge at the droids are charging at the Jedi, and just shit just is going off. It's my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars, period. So I know a lot of people don't like it. I liked it because, honestly, I felt like Attack of the Clones had the most action of any Star Wars movie. I mean, between, again, the Geonosis battle, between the speeder chase at the beginning, between Padme's ship blowing up at the very beginning of the movie, between the Dooku, Obi-Wan, Anakin duel, then Yoda, Dooku duel, Mace Windu, first time seeing him in battle, Jango Fett scenes, the Camino battle between Obi-Wan and Jango. We got the seismic charge for the first time. Like, come on, there's so much to like about Attack of the Clones. It's an action-packed, to me, the most action in any Star Wars movie, Attack of the Clones. So that's number 2. And then without further ado, I've been talking about how this list, you know, it's so close, all of it. But the one that is all on its own for me, the one that is all the way out in front by a wide margin, Episode 3, came out in 2005, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin becomes Vader. It's the darkest of all the Star Wars movies, and it is my personal favorite. You thought I watched a lot of Attack of the Clones. I watched the ever-loving shit out of Revenge of the Sith. I watched it till I couldn't watch it anymore, and then I watched it again. And then when that was done, I popped in disc 2 of the 2-disc set that we got in the DVD set. All the behind-the-scenes stuff, the featurettes, the weapon featurettes, behind the scenes, all that. And I watched that. How did they make it? I watched all of that, the weapons, the CGI, all of it. And then I went back and watched the movie again. I was obsessed, and still am, with Revenge of the Sith. Anakin, Vader, my favorite character, specifically Anakin in Episode 3. That's his lightsaber right there, my master replica. Hands down, my favorite Star Wars movie. So there you have it. That is my list. It only took me about a half hour to do it. It was difficult for me because it's like I don't not like any of the Star Wars movies. But if I have to rank them right this very second, that's where they're at. It's close, but that's where they're at. So that is that. And that is going to be it for today's show. That took a lot longer than I expected, but that was fun. I'm out of breath. I'm just a little hot in here now, but that was fun. I enjoyed that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Probably going to stream. Actually, I might be streaming some Star Wars Battlefront here in a little bit. So maybe stay tuned for that. Wilbur and Gold's Arcade. But until hopefully tomorrow, I'll be back on. Do a little more sports stuff tomorrow. We will be back. Special Star Wars show feel like today was a Star Wars show, but special Star Wars show is coming potentially tomorrow. Potentially tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that, and be on the lookout for the stream tonight. Little Star Wars Battlefront action on the PS4. Other than that, appreciate you tuning in. I'm your host, Will Dalton, aka wilberandgold. Hit me up on all social media. I'd love to get to know you. And until next time, we'll see you next time.